This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with a daily wrestling news update. A lot of information that I'm going to give in the update here today. I'll start off by a post that was made by Virgil on Twitter, which, by the way, the last I heard, it's these guys that actually run his Twitter as well as the Iron Sheik Twitter, the Megan Boys from Megan Boys Entertainment out of Toronto. So more likely than not, they're the ones that would have written that. But Virgil put up a post, which I won't read fully, but the basic of it is he was feeling unwell during WrestleMania weekend, went to the doctor where he says he had suffered 2 massive strokes and is suffering from the early stages of dementia. He's requesting that fans donate to him. I did put the links in the description of the interviews with Virgil on this channel. There's one that I did last year and 2 from this year that Vinny Vegas from Pounding the Meat podcast did with Virgil. And in all 3 of them, there's a lot of lies. To be honest, Virgil might be tied with Brutus Beefcake as the most lies in a shoot interview, unless it truly is dementia and he just really is clueless about wrestling history. I don't know. I take everything with a grain of salt in wrestling because everyone's a worker, particularly the more old school guys are workers. But I hope he's doing okay. Eric Bischoff posted this on Twitter, or he shared it. That's him, and I guess that's his wife in the middle on a Target ad from the past. I thought I would just show that because I found it funny. Okay, so WrestleNomics did a big article that was released about the attendance of wrestling events in the United States outside of WWE and AEW for the first quarter of 2022. So that would be from January to March. And I found it interesting. So I'm going to do a review of this WrestleNomics attendance article. And they brought up that Big Time Wrestling, which is a company out of Ohio, had over 3,000 fans on March the 12th. Bobby Fulton, who I've interviewed several times on this channel, runs that promotion. They had a ton of stars on that show. Northeast Wrestling drew the second and third biggest crowds, I guess, outside of WWE and AEW. I guess they had several events that had over 1,000 fans. One had 1,622 in Poughkeepsie, New York on January 22nd. And then the Hardys came back on March 27th in Waterbury, Connecticut for them, and they had 2,234 fans. So those 2 are like the top indie crowds, I guess you could say, for Big Time Wrestling and Northeast Wrestling. Mucha Lucha had a house of 1,300 on March 6th in Atlanta, which wasn't really that publicized. I don't know much about Mucha Lucha, but that's a good crowd. Another company also called Big Time Wrestling, which I think is different from Bobby Fulton's, but I'm not positive, had 1,200 fans in Spartanburg, South Carolina, January 22nd, which is also pretty good. Prestige Wrestling out of Oregon had a show in Portland that reportedly drew 1,000 fans on February the 20th. Now, GCW is a company that doesn't do that great on YouTube. I get far incomparably more views than them on YouTube, but they've been signing a lot of people recently. I don't agree with their deathmatch stuff, but they had a big event at the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York, January 23rd, that drew 2,025 fans. They also drew 800 in Detroit, January 14th, and 600 at Center Stage in Atlanta, March 12th, which apparently is about 75% the capacity of Center Stage, where, of course, WCW used to tape their WCW Saturday Night Show, among other shows. GCW had shows February 25th and 26th with 800 fans and 750 fans in LA. Apparently, they have a show in West Hollywood at the Roxy that happened March 24th. It had 225 fans in attendance. And apparently, they were also in Houston on February 4th with 250 fans in attendance, in Dallas on February 5th, which they didn't have a great attendance at. It's not listed, but it was lower than last time they went to Dallas. So GCW doing some decent crowds. I don't know what their budget's like for the wrestlers that they use, but they do use a lot of names. So I don't know what the travel pay is like and all that, but decent. Impact ran January 8th and 9th in Dallas, Texas, and they had 455 tickets out on the 8th and 400 on the 9th. That includes comps. They ran Fort Lauderdale at a 3,200 seat arena on January 21st and 22nd. And apparently they didn't do very well. Apparently whoever did this counted by hand, and apparently there was like 214 fans the first night and 223 tickets the second night. So not very good for Impact. February 19th and 20th, they were at in New Orleans, Louisiana, just outside West Waco, Louisiana. And they had 392 fans about. So, yeah. And apparently this is just a hand count. So, and then the second night, 158. So those aren't very good. And again, this is WrestleNomics. You can look it up if you want to read them all yourself. Impact was in Louisville, Kentucky, March 5th and 6th. They had 251 the first night, 268 the second night. They were in Philadelphia, March 18th and 19th, 265 the first night, 358 the second. That's really poor for Philadelphia, the ECW arena, which holds near 1,000, I believe. New Japan did a combined show with Defy in Seattle, January 15th. It had 600 fans. They did a taping in LA, February 17th, that drew a couple hundred fans. They had a show March 20th in St. Petersburg, Florida, with total attendance of about 700 fans, and it was at the Coliseum. So I don't know how big the Coliseum is, but I would imagine a Coliseum could hold at least a couple thousand. MLW went to Dallas on January 21st, where Wrestle Tickets said they sold 734 fans. February 26th, they were in Charlotte, and apparently they drew 850 fans, according to the Observer. Again, that's MLW, who I'm not sure if they have a TV show or not anymore. So that's not bad. NWA February 12th, they were in Oak Grove, Kentucky with 450 fans. Then they did their Crockett Cup, March 19th and March 20th, the Nashville Fairgrounds, and had 366 fans the first night, 312 fans the second night, and there was no Ring of Honor shows in the first 3 months of the year. Their first show was in April under Tony Khan. A couple other events of note. Maryland Championship Wrestling had 800 fans February 5th. Warrior Wrestling January 22nd had 550 fans, although another company cage match said there was only 300, so it's debatable how many were actually there. They also had a show in Cesaro, Illinois, February 12th that drew 600 fans. Southern Hardcore Wrestling apparently drew crowds of over 500 January 7th and February 4th in Canton, Georgia. Terminus drew 275 fans January 16th and 350 fans February 24th in Atlanta. PWG drew 600 fans at the Globe Theater in LA January 30th. Championship Wrestling drew a sellout of 550 fans, but they didn't put the date or location. I'm pretty sure that was in California, though. Beyond Wrestling drew 400 fans to Providence, Rhode Island, February 4th. CZW ran January 24th in front of only 40 fans, and February 6th in front of 100 fans in Havre de Grace, Maryland. And finally, Control Your Narrative, the promotion run by EC3 and Braun Strowman, drew 150 fans at the Tin Roof in Orlando, Florida. For their, I believe that was their first event. They didn't put the dates. So those are the main numbers. Not great, but there were some impressive indie show numbers on there. But again, I've seen some of these indie shows that have absolutely stacked cards. So when you're using that much name talent, you wonder if there was actually a break even or how many sponsors there are. But I did find that article interesting. That's why I went through it, because it gives you a pretty good idea of what the indies are drawing in the United States right now.